I'm pushy. And let's get right to the point. I'm Nettle, and today's topic is schools. Okay, what exactly am I talking about with schools? I'm talking about how schools treat their students. Students are often treated more like a number or a statistic than an actual student. But I digress. We'll come back to that later. First, I want to talk about one of school's most common policies, especially in urban areas, especially in low-income areas, especially in areas where people struggle. A no-tolerance bullying policy. And from the looks of it, no-tolerance bullying, not a big deal. Yeah, we want to stop bullying, and it makes sense. It seems like it would make only too much sense, right? But it's not necessarily true. And it goes down to charter schools and so many more things. I want to pull up a little document I have. This document talks about one of the problems in our school systems. It's how the zero tolerance policy is really going out in action. Okay, I'm looking at a graph right now. And what this graph is showing me is that the relative risk ratios of students experiencing select school discipline indicators by race in 2002 to 2003. This is old stuff, and that's just back then. It says that Native American students above the average line of what they'd say every student gets about a 1. They go 0.50 all the way up to 3. Native American students go from a 1.76 to at lowest a 1.52. You can even spike up to 1.9. The 1.76 is on corporal punishment. The 1.52 is on out-of-school suspensions, and the 1.89 is on expulsions. Hispanic students for corporal punishment is 0.41. For out-of-school suspension is 1.23. And for expulsion is 1.50. Seems pretty chill. If we go to our African American students, corporal punishment is at 2.52 out of a scale that only goes to 3. For corporal punishment. Out of school suspension is alarming at a 2.84. And expulsion is at a 2.47. I know I'm throwing numbers at you. Nettle, what does it mean? I got you. It means that in 2002, more students of color, especially black students, were getting corporal punishment, out of school suspension, and expulsions. That is ridiculous. This is absolutely insane. I don't even know how to say anything about that. We can even go back to the percentage of students in grades 9 to 12 who reported having been in a physical fight previous to the 12 months on school property. In 1983 to 2003, it went from about 18% to 15 to 16, and it goes down, but it just keeps going back up. And on the current chart that it's at, it'll just keep going up. The no tolerance bullying ends up hurting more than it's helping. Why are colored students worried about being kicked out of school? They can't even enjoy school on their own. I was in a KIPP school, one of the biggest of misabusing their no tolerance policies. And they treated me like I was just a test scorer. They would publicly shame me, saying, "You shouldn't talk with a 68% in the class," putting your grades on blast, letting other students haze you. You could do whatever you wanted as long as you were a favorite or keeping your grades and the test scores high. It is ridiculous. I couldn't even talk to my parents in front of these teachers. They had me at such a point where I felt like speaking would do nothing. It is heart-wrenching to know that that school is still open and that they're still treating kids to this be the best worker, be the best test taker, even if they're not retaining knowledge. Putting students in school for 2 hours and 30 minutes a class is ridiculous. Making students stand for an hour if they're late is ridiculous. You showed up at school at 7:30 to get breakfast. You did not leave school, and this is not after school program, this is just school at KIPP Bridge. You did not leave school until 5 o'clock. 5 p.m. You were working full-hour shifts for school to be treated like garbage. We had to have 2 recesses and a lunch with how long our school day was. All I can say is school systems are not treating their students well, like they should be. This is going to be a good transition into charter schools. One of the reasons no tolerance can be weaponized or even used this way is because of charter schools. Well, you might be saying, how are charter schools any of this? Charter schools have their own sets of rules. They don't have to go by public school rules. They can add any rules they want. Certain colleges don't allow students to be gay. Certain colleges don't allow students to have fun. But what do you mean, have fun? I mean, you can have fun as long as you don't drink, smoke, party, enjoy yourself, have a partner, do X-rated things with said partner. You know, just basically live in a box and be a square for the rest of your life. Battle yet, and America's struggle over charter schools erupted last fall in Massachusetts. And just to catch you guys up, I am reading from The Battle Over Charter Schools by Zachary Johnson. I am a little biased on this topic, so I will say I did have to quite search this one out. And This is a Harvard study, so we know the source is credible. A ballot would give initiative in general election would have given the Commonwealth power to annually up to 12 charter schools, publicly funded, independently run. The problem with charter schools is because they don't follow the other guidelines and they're independently funded, they can kind of do whatever they want sometimes. They can put whatever they want in the rules. They can treat their students however. In this research as well, they even bring up KIPP. They bring up KIPP's New York site. So it's just a KIPP problem in general, I'm assuming. Anyone who's been a KIPP, or if you're a KIPP kid, I'm sorry. I hope life will be better to you after you leave there. You are worth more than your test scores, than your grades. You are important. For anyone who's still going through school, trying to get through school online now, this crazy climate, you got this. Unlike what anyone else will tell you, you can do it, and you're doing great. Okay. The charter in charter schools is a contract agreed upon between those who run the school and the entity that authorizes the school existence, aka school districts, nonprofit companies, board of education, blah, 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 blah. Charter schools are public schools that are tuition free and are open to all on a first come, first served basis or by lottery. But the charter grants autonomy to develop, so they can basically, as they're growing, do whatever. Looking back over the hold on, let me explain something to you. Nettle, did you have a seizure? No, I'm dyslexic. I can't read sometimes. So I'm gonna ask off stage what this word is, because I have no idea. A schism over charter schools seems inevitable. Oh, a skirmish. God, I'm sorry. To all of y'all listening, Nettle, you dumb. Yeah, I know. A skirmish over charter schools is inevitable due to the roots being so complicated. In the 1980s, conservative economics and liberal academics alike argued for school choice. Basically, the freedom to have more schools outside of just public schools. But places are starting to abuse that power, and it's become the biggest will they won't they relationship of the educational period. Charter schools rules are a mess, and charter schools like to also usually have like a no tolerance policy because it sounds good in practice. And that's just that on top of the basis of them having a learning gap. There's a learning gap between students who are in urban schools versus students who are in schools in better neighborhoods, in more high-income neighborhoods, because the people themselves make the neighborhood. So they're not necessarily better, they're just maintained more often. And it just makes it really hard when you know that, yes, you can try to keep your kid in school, but I'm a prime example. I grew up in OUSD. I grew up in an urban setting, in an urban school, living an urban life. I moved into a high-income area, and I was not able to keep up with the schoolwork. Why? Because they don't prepare you for that when you're in these other school districts. My books were 3 years old. How am I supposed to know the knowledge I need for today with books that are 3 years old? We have the worst materials and resources, and it's devastating to know that even when you are at your lowest, you're not giving your child much better. Every parent thinks sending them to school is giving them their best opportunity, but realistically, when you're living in an urban city or a low-income area, the schools are low-income too. So even, trying your best, it can feel sometimes hopeless, or you could feel lost in the wind, Charter schools are a bunch of talk. Basically, the general gist of what this thing is saying. Some people argue charter schools are taking money that should be going to public schools. Some people argue charters are actually giving the results. There is good proof that shows that black students and some other students of color do excel. I believe the report said black and Hispanic or Latino kids did better with charter schools, but performing better on tests does not always mean the environment is equal. Because you can perform, but why are you performing? Are you performing because you're cramming all that knowledge in, or because you're actively learning? And a lot of people aren't actually actively learning anymore. Most people are just sort of learning, kind of learning. Even if you get all the information and study hard, sometimes you won't be able to get what you need. And that's one of the most devastating parts of it. Especially in today's climate with Corona and the whole electoral situation. It seems like there's not going to be enough time to focus on the injustice in schools and the learning difference and just trying to put all people on the same level. I just wish I had enough ways to try to explain. It's like you could put someone in a room with light. If they've only ever seen the darkness, they won't know how to deal with it. Putting kids in these schools that sort of tell them it's the fight of the fittest and only the strongest survive. Yes, in a way it does prepare them for the world, but in a time where they should be enjoying their youth, they're feeling like they're these worker cogs already. I feel like it crushes the dream and the spirit of a child before it can get flying. It's like telling a caterpillar when you become a butterfly, make sure to clip your wings off immediately. It's grounding them, and I don't know if it's grounding them for the future or for something just worse. Schools are supposed to be our haven, the one thing we can rely on, the one thing that, unites us all. We all go to school. We all do this. But is school the same for everyone? Most kids nowadays say the school is just horrible and they hate it. I have a little sister, Baby Nettle. Baby Nettle is beautiful and bright, and I love her. And of course, she's not actually a baby anymore. She's in high school now, but even now, people aren't enjoying their education. I remember when you're brought in kindergarten, they tell you education is going to be a fun journey, and it's going to be great. We're going to jump right in. And through the time, even before elementary school is done, you've lost that joy of learning. School's become an arbitrary task, you're gonna have to do tomorrow and the day after, the day after. But what do you do when you've come to the end of your straw and looking at the peering over the water, you realize I'm at the end of my road and there's an infinite ocean in front of me, but I have no idea what to do. But you can only conceive this ocean as a pond. Jumping into this pond, you think it's shallow and it's deep. That's how it feels growing up in an urban school, and being put in a college, being behind. I made sure to pass, graduate high school and middle school, and I still wasn't on college level when it came to college. And I wasn't scraping by either. I finished high school early. I thought I had the information. I thought I was ready. And then you get to college and you find out, education you've learned all your life is outdated. And it's like finding out at the finish line you ran a race. You showed up 3 weeks late. You've already run the 5K, but it's 3 weeks late, so no one will ever see it. It's one of the most defeating feelings I have ever felt. I had a job at 14. I was moving. I made connections. I was out there. I moved and I had nothing. And it is jarring, to say the least. To go from being the lead actress, the lead of the choir, one of the good kids, one of the, you are pretty much a good student. You're known for a B-day average. Some classes may fall D or lower. Everyone hates history. To you history buffs out there, I'm sorry. But your favorite topic is garbage. I don't believe y'all are real. In the comments, history buffs, tell me what's good. Make history sound good to me. I've never found history interesting. The only things I found interesting were Sappho and her friends type stuff. But we'll get past that. I want to talk more about school. We're not taught how to do taxes. We're not taught how to take care of ourselves. I feel like we shouldn't have got rid of home ec. It's just home ec should be something different. How to file your taxes, how to do an email, how to return a call, how to write a letter. These are things that you want to have in your repertoire. Just daily life skills. How to clean properly. What to do if you're just the basics of what you need when you are no longer in school and all the training wheels are off and it's just you giving it your all alone. Because while school is essential to having a well-understood and learned nation, we are not getting the core values, the core things that are important. No. I don't know how to file taxes. I don't know how to do most things that would make me a functioning adult. It is harder, especially in 2020, to try to get going when schools are even closed. Now you're not even getting the social interaction schools get. Even if it's a bad social interaction, it's good social interaction. Especially in 2020, I feel like people are starting to realize they need that social aspect. It's a hard life that kids are being born into. And I want, right now, more than ever, not feel just gross, just like to feel inevitable. I want my kid to grow up not just thinking, knowing they could do whatever they want, and that their education would give them just enough to live their basic life with, enough to go to college. I've turned into one of those people, but the kids are the future, and I want them to know they've got a hard job, because I've got a hard job. As a part of Gen Z, I'm trying to fix what the generations have left for us. And the generation after us is going to have some fixing too. But if we all work together, if we all try and focus, we can really get it done, Just one step at a time. By being tolerant of people's situations, whether it be bullying or test scores, and try to make school both fun, useful, and engaging. Putting Black history in the schools, because if you expect people to learn, they should learn about their people. They should learn about their involvement in history. History is written by the winners, but history is also written by those who have the knowledge. If you have the knowledge, you can change the knowledge. And this will be one of my final notes to you guys. School's hard. Everyone hates it. But just push through. You can do it no matter how hard it seems, no matter how much you want to give up. Go for it. Because the worst you can do is fail and grow from it. And that's it. As the ink runs out of a pen, so is our time come to. Pinboard is a product of the Uniquely Nye Podcast. You can find us online at www.uniquelynye.podcast.com, on social media at Uniquely Nye Podcast. Follow me on social media